The laws of physics do not forbid the possibility of time travel. If you could have a stable wormhole, you could build a time machine. But in some sense, the world around us is an illusion. The particles that make us up, electrons, protons, neutrons, have mass, but that's an illusion. At a fundamental scale, they're actually massless. Mathematics describes the world, and mathematics produces patterns. And if the world is describable by mathematics and the laws of nature are explicable as mathematical laws, then it's not too surprising to find remnants of mathematical truths in what we see in nature. Yeah, it's fascinating that it's fascinating, but not too surprising that different structures are governed by the same mathematical laws. That's one of the wonderful things about physics. So it's not too surprising to see the same representations crop up in many different places. If you didn't believe in God, would you go out and murder someone? And most people, say no. We innately understand some moral basis which allows us to exist more or less peaceably with our environs. And the scientific method is designed to overcome the known fact that humans, including scientists, and scientists are human, have biases.
Welcome back to the Gnostic Informant, and you are about to attain true gnosis. And today I'm joined by Dr. Lawrence Krauss, theoretical physicist who authored or co-authored more than 300 scientific studies and recipient of a bunch of awards, including the Lillian Field Award, which puts you on a short list of people like Stephen Hawking. So that's pretty impressive.
It's nice to be on a list with Stephen, who was an old friend of mine.
Yeah, great guy.
Anyway, it's nice to be with you virtually.
Yeah, this is great. So just started off, I have a question from Derek Lambert from Myth Vision, and I'm just going to play. He recorded it, and I'm just going to play it, and you can just answer that, and we'll just go from there.
Okay. Professor Krauss, Derek Lambert, Myth Vision Podcast. I'm the host. I have a question for you. Many people talk about the design of the universe. They look at this universe and they see mathematics, they see structure, and they use that as an argument for a mind or a god or a creator looking at the universe itself. As someone who's a theoretical physicist, in what way does your work potentially help answer this question of, was this really all chance? When it comes to design and fine-tuning, in what way does your work actually come in and kind of debunk the notion that a perfect, all-powerful designer created the world, the universe, everything that we see? Is there a way to answer that question?
Well, that's a good question. In fact, recently I wrote for Inference magazine a long article, along with one for the Globe and Mail in Canada, on how poorly designed the universe is. People look around and they say, wow, the universe, if it had different properties, we wouldn't be around. The same is true for the Earth, and that used to make people think that the Earth was designed for life. But in fact, what we understand after Darwin is that life evolved to fit the circumstances, the environment in which it could evolve in. And so it's not too surprising that life forms on Earth fit perfectly well on the Earth. It's not too surprising that life on Earth it fits, if you wish, with the universe, which if it were any different, life on Earth might not be possible to have arisen. But it doesn't imply design any more than the fitness of life on Earth implies design of life. Natural selection works very well, and as I often say, it's like remarking on the amazing fact that my feet are exactly long enough to touch the floor. If they were a little shorter, I wouldn't be touching the floor. If they were a little longer, I'd be under the floor. But more than that, if you look at the universe, most of the universe is not well designed for us. Most of it's uninhabitable for beings like us or life forms like those on Earth. And in many ways, the universe is constantly trying to kill us. We're lucky we've survived this long as a species. But even the fundamental parameters that look like they're fine-tuned, and the most famous one, which I discussed about as early as anyone, is the energy of empty space, which seems to have a very peculiar value that we can't understand. And it was pointed out by the late physicist Steven Weinberg that if it were much larger, that value, then galaxies wouldn't have formed and life wouldn't have formed. And some people say, wow, that's evidence that the universe was designed. But on the other hand, it turns out if that weird quantity was zero, which is the value we always thought it would have, which seems natural, more natural in many ways, the universe would actually be more conducive to life. So I guess I like to think of the argument from that Carl Sagan used. It said, if the universe is designed for life, it's an awful waste of space. A pretty big universe, so you could just have this Earth. And the other aspect is, if the universe were different and had different properties, sure, we wouldn't be around. But we can't say that there's no life that'd be around. And it could be life of a very different form. And that life could speculate and wonder why that universe was so well designed for it. As I often say, it's like an intelligent fish, wondering why the universe is made of water. And the answer is, well, if it wasn't, the fish wouldn't be around. And so all that even here on Earth, we've discovered what are called extremophiles, life forms that exist in situations we never thought it would be possible for life to exist in. Boiling hot water, acidic environments. And so if that's any guide, it suggests that life in many ways can evolve in many different environments. And if things were very different, then we might find that we wouldn't be here, but maybe we'd be some other sort of intelligent being with very different properties. Clearly, people have it backwards, the same way people before Darwin used to have it for living systems on Earth. The universe wasn't designed for life. Life evolved. Our life, the life we measure here on Earth, evolved because in a form that's consistent with the physical properties of the universe in which it evolved. That's not so surprising. There's no evidence, as far as evidence of purpose or design, as I say, there's nothing that suggests that there's any specific design in our location. It certainly seems to be rather random, and most other locations in the universe, as I say, are not so fortunate. You would have thought that a being that designed a universe for life would make the whole universe hospitable for life in one way or another. And anyway, those are some arguments.
Well, to add to what you just said, that makes a lot of sense too, is so if you're designing life and you have photosynthesis for plants, why can't animals photosynthesize? Why do we have to eat each other? Like, we literally have to eat the faces off other beings to survive. Energy can't sustain energy unless it eats other energy.
Well, I can tell you part of the answer, by the way, because photosynthesis doesn't provide enough energy for a moving animal.
Right.
It's not eating so much as the fact of respiration of oxygen.
Right.
But I write all about that. It was harnessing oxygen that allowed this molecule called ATP to, that you could basically release or produce about 37 times as much energy per unit material as you could otherwise. And until there was enough oxygen in the atmosphere, and life, if you wish, learned how to respire, how to use oxygen. And all oxygen does is take away electrons that dump energy into life and allow it to exist. Until you had that, you had plants and immobile stuff, which was pretty peaceful for a few billion years on Earth. But things got more interesting. And when things get more interesting, it's both good and bad, I suppose.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously what I said doesn't make sense, but if you're a god that can do anything, you can bypass those laws and just everybody here's
principle. That's why I guess, I mean, if you're a god, you in principle can. No one really defines what God is, but I guess the idea of God is someone who isn't constrained by the laws of nature. And then if that's the case, why work within the laws of nature?
Right. You're just going in a circle, which brings
it's the same argument that's given with that God and sort of rationality. If God, if our morality is given by God, then if God said it's okay to murder, would it be okay? If it isn't okay, then
they would say yes.
And he's guided by a higher moral purpose. Then why just get rid of the middleman?